Hi, everybody. I am Christy from So to Speak, and I am here with my friend Hope Timberlake.
Hey, Christy, so glad to be here.
We are coming to you with three three quick to the point videos because Hope and I got to talking and we realized that when fall comes in, it often brings this whopping load. We're all used to summer and it just flies in and a whopping load of responsibilities and rushing and filled schedules. And we both realized that at the end of the day, we want to feel relieved and we want to feel revived and confident in what we're doing and feel grounded. And we thought, why not share some of our best practices with you too?
Yes, this is going to be great. We've got a great framework for this. Do you want to tell everyone
Yeah.
what we're going to do?
Yeah. So when we were talking about we want to feel relieved, we want to feel revived, what's a way that we can be very efficient in sharing practices with you so that you could just have them be in your back pocket. And Hope brought up the acronym C.O.P, which stands for capabilities, organization, and purpose. And what we also realize is that oftentimes internally, there's like a good cop, bad cop making the decisions for us. And we want it to not be as black and white when it comes to what our possibilities of choice really are for well-being and for feeling like we really are bringing our whole best self as often as possible. And we're going to surprise you because what we consider best self is very different than we feel has often been normalized in society and culture. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because the COP model I found through my consulting world 10, 15 years ago. And the way we used it was for helping prepare people for interviews. So as they were looking to get a new job or getting them motivated, re-engaged in their current job. It's very applicable today for quiet quitting. And then also career conversations. So, how are you going to work with your organization in a long time, be fulfilled in a long term basis? And visually, if you can imagine, each of the letters, the COP letters, are a circle. So we've got the C, the capabilities is a one circle. The O, the organization, overlaps with the C. And the P, which we use in consulting to be passion, but you and I have discussed why purpose is really more applicable. But all three of those words overlap. And our goal was in the consulting world to find where people's capabilities were, where they overlapped with their passions and what the organization needs. And that was the sweet spot. But it's a really rich model for so many other applications. Christy and I have named dozens. I don't know. Do you want to share some of the things that we talked about? How it can be used for all of that?
Yes, absolutely. So just so you're aware of how we're going to be setting this up, we're going to be touching upon the capabilities piece in this video, and then we're going to follow up with the organization piece in a follow-up video, and then we're going to end with a whole segment designated to purpose. So we're going to be talking about capabilities. So the capabilities piece, we realize that oftentimes capabilities is misunderstood. So I'll give my perspective on that and then a little way to reframe that. And then I'll throw to you, Hope, and then you can add on there. So capabilities, oftentimes I notice in my own life and I notice with friends and I notice with clients, capabilities becomes no space in a schedule. Like you're almost equating what your capability with how packed your schedule is. And if it's not, then for some reason, your sense of worth within capability goes down. So we're here to help reframe that because it's just not a healthy way to go through life and it's not helpful. So when Hope was talking about the organization piece, we're saying, and we'll go more into this in the next video, but we're saying any organization, whether it's your home, your work, your community, and you want to be able to bring a strong, clear, self-compassionate and confident, capable self into whatever organization you're going to be going into. Most days we're human, but the point is the more you can catch it, so we're going to be talking about self-awareness and then regulate yourself, the more you'll be able to come back from anything that might throw you. So if there's anything that's happening in your day that just completely throws you off, whether it's something that is unscheduled or something that was scheduled and it just, maybe there's like a total change to the format of it, you'll be able to shift. So one technique that I love that I use, and I use it with clients as well, because it increases your self-awareness, your self-regulation, and your self-compassion all at once. So we're talking about efficiency here. And it is personifying the voice that you are hearing when you're feeling incapable, or you're feeling very anxious, or you're feeling overwhelmed. And the more you can be aware of catching that voice when it's talking, it's just one part of you, right? So when you can catch it, you immediately are regulating yourself. So just simply by being aware, it's been proven that you are regulating yourself just by looking at yourself a little bit more objectively. Then from there, you're able to go, okay, so what part of myself is feeling anxious? Now you can give it a name. It really have fun with it. Chances are you would do this exercise when you're chilling out and you're not overwhelmed, so that it's easily accessible. It's kind of like you're doing a dress rehearsal so that it's easy to grab when you're actually in the situation, because when you are triggered, you're not going to have like, okay, let me think about this for a minute. So you want to do it when stakes are low and you're chilling out on your porch or after dinner or whatever it is. And you just take that part of yourself and you can give it a name. You can say anxious Annie, or you could say, I have some clients who have said, Paul the procrastinator. And you really create a character. Like, what do they look like? What do they wear? How do they stand? What is their voice like? So that you can tap into your wise self talking to that part of yourself. The minute that you're able to almost extract that voice, you give yourself that opportunity to regulate yourself, to get out of that fight or flight feeling, and to really say, like, what do you need? Anxious Annie might be really nervous about something. Paul the procrastinator might be very scared about something. It usually leads to that. So the more you can talk to them, you're also practicing self-compassion, because you're looking at that person as you would almost as a friend. Like if Hope came up to me and was talking to me about something that she was really nervous about, or maybe she didn't perform the way she wanted to perform when she was presenting. And that is what happens. You almost look at yourself in the third person. You can also give it a character. I have another client who would have like Ryan Reynolds on his shoulder. And he would say, like, that's the voice who's kind of like, come on, you got to do more. You got to do more. What are you doing? So it just brings a playfulness to it. And it allows you to get back into that space of, okay, that aside, and then you can get clear on, this is where I am capable, instead of having that voice tell you that you're not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that, Christy. That awareness, that regulation, that self-compassion. It's such a good strategy for getting and feeling capable, feeling relieved, feeling revived in the moment. Another thing that I do that is complementary is taking stock of our capabilities. And so sometimes we're burned out, and I'll be honest. Headlines this year and the quantity of work that I've experienced, I have been burned out. And so sometimes what I'll do is do this exercise I'll do with clients where we have them think about a champion of theirs. This could be a colleague that they currently have or had in the past. This could be a friend. It could be a teacher who's rooted them on, someone who really appreciates them. It's not a Pollyanna who blows them up no matter what. There's
Mhm.
some that's grounded in reality. So someone who has a really good finger on the pulse of who you are and why you are special. And so we take that person and we imagine, maybe this, like, close your eyes, imagine that person in the exercise, sometimes we'll call it him Arnie. I'm not sure where the name Arnie came from, but let's just, it's kind of a quirky name. So Arnie's coming in. Arnie's your champion. Arnie's the one who knows you. He's not gonna give you a bunch of fluff, but he's gonna be balanced. And he's going to come in and he's going to observe your meetings, or he's going to observe your presentation, or he's going to observe the way you get work done by yourself. All the things that where you're like, oh, in my day, I'm not productive, or in my meetings, I'm tongue tied, or when I present, I stumble. Whatever that negative thought is, bring Arnie in those situations. Close your eyes, imagine Arnie's there, and Arnie's going to observe you. So you're now watching you present, you get your work done in the morning, you at your meeting from your champion's perspective, and note what this champion sees, the visual. Does she or see he? What do they see in you? What are they noticing when they watch you? What do they hear? What is it that you're saying? How you're saying it? And what is the content that you're providing to others? So there's 3 V's. We talk about the visual, the vocal, the voice, the sound of the voice, the verbal, what you say. It's a good frame to be like, okay, what is this champion of mine? What is Arnie seeing? What is Arnie hearing in my voice? And what is Arnie hearing in what I'm sharing? And it can be really powerful to realize, all that time when I think I'm dithering away at my computer and getting nothing done, Arnie noticed, actually, yeah, sure, I might have been context shifting more than what we define as productive in society, but man, did I get a lot of things done. And when I shifted context to the other thing, I was actually freeing my brain and simmering on this thing that was on hold. And when I came back to it, there was some brilliance there. So some of the negative things that we think about ourselves can be negated if we can see ourselves through the eyes of our champion.
I love that. And I love, they pair so well together because it's this sense again of almost watching yourself like on a screen. Like you have more of that objective perspective. And I love the idea that both of these practices bring a sense of you are your own ally. So there's like a part of you where you're actually supporting yourself. And just like you said, Hope, there is oftentimes the thought, if I am championing myself, I'm going to let myself off the hook, or I'm going to just get complacent, or I'm not going to accomplish as much. And it's so not true. And there's so much research backing it up that having any sort of self-critical actions or thoughts compared to self-compassionate thoughts, self-compassion wins through and through. Because like you said, Hope, it's not about being Pollyanna or Arnie going, that's okay. Hope stay on Pinterest for another hour and it's like a loving nudge. And I heard it once, almost like it's like the grandma voice. Your grandmother isn't necessary. Not everybody's grandmother is going to necessarily let everything slide that they do. It's more out of, I love you. And so I want you to do the best you can do, but I also am able to see you from this vantage point as champion, from this place of, okay, yes, how about you kind of freeze whatever you're doing right now, if it's taking time off to just kind of zoom around the internet, and you could be working. Well, what do you need to be doing instead? It's just kind of this gentle nudge back versus this very critical and malicious whip. Exactly. So just to wrap that back up, so the self-awareness piece is the pause. Now, practicing that is literally practicing it. There's no trick there, unless Hope maybe has one up her sleeve, but it's really just practicing it. So it is a matter of, I always say the traffic lights are a great place if you are a driver. If you're not and you take public transportation, you could do it by like subway stops or bus stops or whatever it is. Like at every bus stop, I'm just going to check in. And then when the bus goes, you can go, your mental space can go. You can go back to your phone. You can look out the window, carry on a conversation. Same thing with the light. The light turns red, you just stop and you just breathe until it turns green, and then you go. And those moments are strengthening your capacity to raise your self-awareness and pause. So when you're in a meeting and you notice yourself getting triggered by something, you'll already have been strengthening that muscle that has you pause. If you wait until something throws you, it's going to be much harder. So that's a self-awareness piece. And then the self-regulation is either one, and make it your own, that Hope and I just shared in regards to being able to pause so that you can even hear what voice is being said. Do I need the champion right now? Do I need Arnie to come? Do I need to really pay attention to what this part of me needs right now? and what can I give it? So from that place, you can have a much clearer and honest sense of your capabilities and sensing when or where you need to maybe pull in a little bit or give a little bit more, like it's just that sense of Hope and I were talking offline before that oftentimes our schedules are so packed that being able to say no to things and schedule out. I just saw a post about this and I loved it. It's not that, oh my gosh, we're so busy that we have to schedule out. It's that we're getting very conscious and strategic about what we let into our daily schedule. And if you have white space on your schedule and that's priority time for yourself or for being with someone you love, whatever it is, schedule out. Doesn't have to be all packed in one. And then, yeah, what are thoughts that you have there?
Yeah, I have huge thoughts on that. I think, busy became such an attribute of, oh, yeah, I'm so busy. And that felt like that was something that we needed to say. And then the reality is, a lot of us did become that busy. And it's the ultimate, in my mind, the ultimate sense of self love, self care, and frankly, care for those around you, whether they
Yes.
are personal, professional people that you're interacting with, to create that white space, to create that time that is dedicated to your deep thoughts, to your resting, to your exercise, to whatever it is you need. It could be one of my friends. It's about TikTok. She swears that that's the way that she can reset and revive, and she is all in. I don't so much care. I'm not going to judge what it is that you're doing in that white space, but creating that white space is not selfish. It is self-love, self-preserving, and beneficial to all those around you.
Yeah, and rebooting, recalibrating. If you're watching this, chances are you're a very high achieving woman, most likely, who holds themselves to a high standard. And oftentimes we hold ourselves to such high standards and high expectations that we can be really brutal to ourselves. So this isn't about, just saying like, oh, we'll go to the other extreme. It's just saying that the more that you're able to find ways that you can reboot and fill
Mhm.
yourself up, the more you'll be able to decrease resentments that inevitably show up, decrease the over obligatory knee jerk yeses that kind of blur it out of our mouth. And then maybe we end up over promising and under delivering, and then it turns into this loop, right? So the more that you can check in, the more that you can really do whatever you need, whether it's TikTok, whether it's classic walking or nourishing yourself in some way, and then recalibrate. So when we come back to the next video, we're going to be hitting on how, once you are able to get clear on your capabilities, how that impacts the organization that you find yourself a part of.